Hello everyone, this is Alien Reddit Stories, where I tell alien stories off of Reddit. Story number 1. I have to get this off my chest. This is my second post. When I was 13ish, I was at home, lying on the couch, watching TV. My mom was working late at night at a factory, and I was just chilling out after school at around 7 p.m. There was a huge window directly in front of me, one that went right down to the floor. When the lights were on in the living room, I could see everything in the living room through the reflection in the window. The TV was in front of me too, and I was watching a gardening show, as I was interested in that particular show. I was fairly focused on the TV screen and didn't notice anything going on in the window reflection, but something caught my eye, and I saw something that I believe was a hallucination. But it was so real, it had scared me so much that I couldn't sleep at night. I had to have my mom home, and I would have to sleep in the daytime. What I saw was remarkable, and I can't explain it. I saw a short being, about 4 to 5 feet tall, standing directly behind me. It was right behind my head, and it startled me so much I screamed. That being had skin that was a pale peach expression. It had a smiley mouth, subtle but very small mouth. It was like a slit, but the cheekbones and eyes truly gave this being its benign expression. I could see pupils in the big black eyes it had. It had the most complex down lights, and you could see every detail on this being at a glance. The being had a very thin body and smallest shoulders. It looked so frail. There was a small human-like upturned nose. The nose looked vestigial. Thinking about it afterwards, I could not understand how that being could breathe. The skin had wrinkles near the eyes, and it also had liver spots and small blotches. It had been no hair at all on its head. There had been no hair on its head at all. No eyelashes. The eyes looked strange, as if it was wearing sunglasses without frames, because you could see the skin continue past the black outlines of the eyes. I panicked and turned around screaming, expecting to see this thing directly. It wasn't there. I began to freak out and ran to the neighbor's house without even closing the front door of my house. The neighbor thought my house was being invaded by robbers, and he called the police. The police were interested in my story and suspected that I was experimenting with drugs. From what I overheard, the police checked out my house, notified my mom, and left after that. I couldn't sleep at night for days. I was expecting this being to be back. I was petrified of watching TV by myself and would close the curtains to cover the windows. Nowadays, I'm past that fear. But sometimes I'm reminded of that night, and chills are sent down my spine. I can't believe how vivid my experience was. I wouldn't have wished it upon my worst enemies. Story number 2. When I was in high school, during the summertime, my friend and I, who lived just up the street from me, used to sit on my roof in the evening, just before the sun went down, and talk. One night, we had just climbed onto the roof when the neighbor across the street had a telephone repair truck pulled in the driveway, the kind with the yellow light on top and ladder. We watched the man get out of the truck and knock on the door and walk in. A few minutes later, the truck's horn goes off with one long, say 90-second long beep. We thought that was rude if another guy was in the truck. We waited and watched the truck, and a minute after the horn stopped, the yellow light on the top of the truck flipped on. We turned our heads back to the sky, and by this time, the sky was almost dark with a hint of light from the sun that had disappeared behind the horizon a few minutes before. Suddenly, and with no sound, a large triangular craft with red, white, goldish, and blue lights flew over our heads. The craft looked as if it were only a few thousand feet up, and it flew rather quickly. And again, what was the most odd thing was that there was no sound. After it passed, the light flipped off on the truck. Eventually, the repairman came back out, and we never saw a second man in the truck. Also, what was interesting is later that year, I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, and they had a report about a very similar sightings in parts of Pennsylvania around the exact same time. My buddy and I had seen this. If you had the July line from where I lived in Michigan at the time to the sightings in Pennsylvania, it would have looked like a flight path. Alright, here's a very, very, very long one. Well, not so long, but hey. Story number 3. Our final story. I'm not sure this counts as an abduction story or a ghost story. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in an alien influence, so I'm going to go with second. Have fun reading my story. I'm also not sure if I should write about this since several occurring persons are also on Reddit and might recognize the situation. I'm just going to change unimportant things to not get recognized. I'm 23 years old, and it all started 2 years ago when I moved in with my girlfriend. Before I lived in my apartment, a semi-crazy Spanish lady lived here with her daughter. My GF and I never noticed something odd until one day we noticed that a scraped-in Satan star, I don't know the proper name, had inspected the apartment before we moved in. 2 weeks later, my GF discovered a second star above the first one. This one clearly hadn't been there before, since we would have noticed it when we found the first one. Now, we both became kind of scared, and we made sure no one was pranking the other person. We came to the conclusion that either someone broke in or was sleepwandering. In case of sleepwandering, it was probably me, because I have been sleepwandering before, but never did something smart, walking down the stairs, lying in another corner of the bed, going to the toilet, waking up while doing my business, just normal stuff sleepwanderers do. We decided to put up cameras to film ourselves during our sleep, just like the paranormal activities. And indeed, I did start sleepwalking, again, like twice a week. Being scared, my girlfriend couldn't sleep as good as before anymore, and stayed awake longer, so she witnessed me sleepwalking a couple times. And again, I didn't do anything special until one day where I unplugged the signal cable and turned on the TV staring at the snow. This continued for about 2 months. It was a little bit creepy, but my GF and I could live with it. It always felt like I slept well the next day, so there was nothing to worry about. Years before, I had a phase where I tried to lucid dream, but I never got further than just remembering my dreams very well. I wanted to find the source of my crazy behavior, so I started doing it again. After 1 week of trying, I could remember my dreams, or should I rather say my dream very well. It was always the same dream. I dreamed that I would get up and look at the television. That's right. I dreamed exactly what I did. How did I know I was dreaming? I had no control over the situation, and before I started remembering my dreams, I had no memory of it. Things are getting weirder from here. In my future dreams, I didn't just watch the television. I also petted it. The petting got stronger until I destroyed the TV. Not really destroyed. The display was not good where I petted it anymore. We got rid of the TV since it was broken, and we were both pretty scared, but I didn't stop sleepwandering. Next thing I did in my sleep was turning the radio on and listening to the distortion. This time it was affecting my girlfriend because she woke up by it. One day, she stood behind me and tried to wake me up. She never before tried to wake me up sleepwandering because we read it was unhealthy to wake up a sleepwanderer. I have no memory of this, but according to her, I just turned around and the distortion in the radio changed from to click, 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 a little faster than the clock underlined by distortion. I then destroyed the radio and woke up. This was the point where we were both finished with our nerves, and I went to a doctor, still seeing him, and we moved into another apartment. After changing the apartment, nothing like this ever happened again. I still sleepwalk, but not the scary kind, and I'm working on it. Someone else also moved into the apartment after us, but since the first month, the apartment is empty again. I don't know what this has to do with alien abductions, but watching electromagnetic distortion from space and sleepwandering falls more into the category of alien influence than ghosts. Plus, I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in aliens. Edit. I exchanged the thing I didn't want to write here with sleepwalking. It is pretty similar to sleepwalking, though. Okay, sir. That was a rather confusing story, alright? There was a lot going on. Did you create the distortions in the radio? Or the television? When you said to switch, did you switch it? Did you telekinesis the radio waves? The television waves? Like, what happened? I'm so confused. And you're writing, sir. My God, my friend. You gotta like work a little more on your writing, alright, sir? I hope you're young, very young. All is forgiven, but listen, I'm not here to judge. As far as your statement about it being more of a ghost story, or I wouldn't. You know what? You're straddling a lot of borders here. Like, looking at the snow through the screen, I don't know. That's pretty gnarly. Like maybe you're looking at a distortion, looking through a black hole, some sort of vortices that you see through another side. Maybe that was interesting. But you petted the TV until it was you petted the TV raw. You chipped the wood on it. Come on, that is out there. Look, I'm not judging. I'm just really trying to understand. If I had to say for certainty, or well, not certainty, if I had to throw probability out there. I wouldn't put this into the alien subreddit. It sounds like a really interesting story. Don't get me wrong, but it's I saw no correlation or relation with aliens whatsoever. But you know what I do know there's a relation between me and you. Yes, you that's listening right now. Listen to this relationship we have. Yet you still haven't hit subscribe. Do it! It will liberate you. And I'll see you next time in Alien Reddit Stories.